Energy is going to move towards whatever it is that you put your intention into, but without intention, it has nowhere to go. Without intention, it's just all over the place. Without intention, it gets sloppy. Without intention, you might get some of it, but maybe not all of it. Without intention, you could head in that direction, but you might end up taking a couple wrong turns. You might end up making a couple pit stops that you don't need. You might end up losing a few things along the way. You might bump into a few accidents, and it's just not as smooth and as effortless as it can possibly be. But the more intention that you actually have, the more you can streamline towards that goal or towards that thing that you want to manifest. And it comes with way more ease, way less friction, and way less effort. So intention is really everything. And so this is not just about abundance. This is not just about making more money or having more things. I actually kind of cringe at that because I don't want y'all to get it twisted, right? Intention is just how you should be living. And the reality is when you live with intention all around, AKA high love, high integrity, doing your work, keeping your streets clean. When you have intention, all those other things you want, AKA abundance, happens again as a side effect. So again, it's not about you trying to name that goal and chase that goal. It's not about you just saying, well, I want more money. You have to understand what your intention is first. What is your primary intention? Okay, you want more money? You want $1 million? Why? At the end of the day, it's such an arbitrary number, right? You just want to have a bunch of girls. You want to like have a bunch of people that love you. Okay, but why? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you wanting money. There's nothing wrong with you wanting to be surrounded by love. There's nothing wrong with you wanting to be adored and admired. There's nothing wrong with you wanting to live a good life. But why? And without that intention, without really understanding what it is that you're trying to heal, what it is that you're actually trying to create, how this actually moves you towards the highest, most integrous, loving version of yourself, everything is just kind of arbitrary. And then things just kind of feel meaningless and stuff just gets kind of scattered. And things don't necessarily really play out maybe as fulfilling as you want it to be. Abundance and fulfillment, true abundance and fulfillment, they're one and the same. Because without intention, you acquire abundance, but you won't be fulfilled. But if you have intention and then you happen to draw abundance, not acquire, but draw, now you are fulfilled because you're so fulfilled. There's so much meaning behind everything that you've gained. So whenever I hit, like, let's say a financial milestone, right? Let's talk about money. When I hit a financial milestone, if I don't have any intention and all I'm doing is just chasing the next raise, chasing the next bonus, it's like, cool, cool. You did it and you feel great, but it's fleeting and then it goes away. And then you're like, okay, what am I going to buy? Right? It's just all just kind of fleeting and it's superficial. It doesn't really stick. It's not really fulfilled. You buy the thing and then you're on to the next purchase. You're on to the next thing that you want to make so that you can buy. And it's just, you're just kind of on that cycle. So if I use myself an example, right? One of my first like big leaps financially came when I decided with my whole heart that I was ready to support my parents when I took over their mortgage many, 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 many years ago. And the house was paid off many years ago by now. But when they first started really struggling and there were a lot of issues, it was very clear that they could hardly even pay their mortgage. The first thing I did was go into my old shit and the triangle and like, what the like, why can't they get it together? Like, why are they so helpless? Like, why can't they just be adults? Why do I always have to bail them out? Why? Do they suck? Why? And when, because they suck, my life sucks and the whole thing, right? And thank God I was doing the work already at that time. And I was like, man, that's not going to help me. That's not going to actually help me grow. That's not going to actually help me make more money. It's actually telling the universe that I only have a certain amount. And now because my parents need me, that pie is getting taken away and I'm left with less. And so I'm like, that's not loving. That's not abundant. That goes against everything that I truly know is universal law when it comes to abundance and all that stuff. So I had to, TLDR, make a choice, a true choice to surrender to the process and decide that I genuinely, wholeheartedly wanted to support them. And I didn't know how I was going to necessarily make money, but I decided that I was going to do this and that I decided that I was going to do this from a place of gratitude and love. And you know what? Even if I may not be able to make more money to make up for their mortgage, I knew that I had to be grateful that I could even do it with what I have now to begin with. And so from that place, I just let everything else go and I just did it. And once I started taking that over, things start to conspire, things start to organize. And obviously, now the rest is history. Okay. And that was just one of the, there have been many moments like that, obviously, throughout my journey, but that was one of those moments. And so, with that very, very clear intention of wanting to be in high love, high integrity, wanting to be in a state of surrendering, wanting to be in a state of genuine generosity, I set that intention that I was going to do this, right? And at that point, taking on their mortgage meant that, like, whatever I was paying for housing doubled overnight, right? So imagine what you're paying right now for rent or your mortgage or whatever. And imagine just like overnight, it doubles. That's a little jarring. And so I felt very, very victimy about that. But I knew in the deepest parts of my gut, I knew that that was what I needed to push myself to the next level because I chose to think that way. Because of that, things started naturally aligning. And then I saw me paying my parents' mortgage as an investment as well. So now it was no longer just another expense in my life, it was an investment. It was an investment in my wealth as well. And here's what I mean by that. I knew by me taking on that expense, me taking on their mortgage, I knew that I was actually investing in my own abundant flow. I knew that by me putting money into their home was actually going to create an ROI for me in some way, somehow, energetically, some way. I knew it was going to work its way forward, work its way out, expand in some way. So not only did I set that intention, but then I started to see that as an investment. And so every time I paid their mortgage, to me, it was an investment. It was not only just an investment in them. I don't even see it as that. I'm like, whatever, we just got to handle the bills. But I actually saw that every time I wrote a check for, or whatever, whenever the auto pay went out for their mortgage, I actually saw that as me investing in myself. I was investing in my own bank of love, my own bank of generosity, gratitude, and my ability to show up as a better version of myself, because I know that the better version that I become of myself, that becoming a wealthier version of myself is inevitable, because I see them as the same.